Hey guys, John here with a quick news update on Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. As YouTuber SKELUX has actually gone through the game's files, and has not only accessed, but cleaned up levels that for whatever reason weren't playable in the actual game. In fact, he's found that almost half the level files aren't playable. A big reason for that is, as SKELUX says, 4 of those were the 3D world levels that were cut from the Switch version but were in the Wii U version, 6 of them were the original Captain Toad minigame from 3D World, and the remainder are pretty much just beta versions, test levels, and trade show demos. So outside of the 3D World stuff still being in the game, that's not all too exciting. But SKELUX has also uncovered some totally original levels that for some reason didn't make the cut in the original Captain Toad. To start with, there's this stage titled Whole Cake Stage. In this, Toad navigates the inner layers of a giant cake. The level isn't quite finished, but it got a good ways into development, with the general geometry being intact and enemies and moving platforms being active. Honestly, it looks great. Next up is Double Zone Flip Stage, based heavily around Switch Scramble Circus and 3D World. Basically, you go around from platform to platform, lighting up all the switches. But each time there's a new enemy to avoid and slight differences in platform design. And finally, there's Underground Touch Cave Stage. Now this actually did appear in the game's debut trailer, but was cut for whatever reason. But here it is in action. This build shows that it wasn't quite finished for its retail release though. The lighting is a little off despite this supposedly being underground, and interestingly, the entire axe and block segment isn't present either. It certainly shows promise though. I really love that the star is visible right from the start, but you gotta go the long way around to reach it. Kinda like 7-1 in 3D Land. So those 3 almost finished levels are just sitting on the cartridge along with those 3D World Captain Toad levels and a bunch of debug levels that SKELUX shows off in his video. It really is worth a watch, but it begs the question, why was this stuff cut? Especially when one of them was officially shown off. It's been nearly 5 years since it was shown off, so I very much doubt that they're saving it for DLC, but either way, it's great to finally see them in action. So check out the original video, there's a link to it down below in the description, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for a lot more on Captain Toad, and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye.